but I'm just going to spend the next 15 to 20 minutes to talk about what BIMCO has been doing in this particular regard for the last 3 years. In fact, a little more than 3 years. We have been working on an industry standard on in-water cleaning with capture. I stress the word with capture. I'm going to talk about the past, the present, where we are now, and a bit also about the future. And in doing so, I'm going to talk about how the standard works and also the other document that is on display, which is the approval procedure for in-water cleaning companies. This particular slide, I hope it doesn't need any introduction. As you know, biofouling is undergoing a lot of change. As we already know that IMO has guidelines on this since 2011. And as we speak now, at the PPR, there is a correspondence group that is looking into reviewing these guidelines. And when it meets next time, they will look into working in a working group to look further in detail on those guidelines. But as we speak, there's also no international biofouling regulation as such. But that doesn't mean there is no regulations. There are some unilateral regulations, and a stark one is the biofouling requirements of New Zealand. I hope some of you have experienced this. They have very particular threshold values which ships have to follow in case they want to visit New Zealand, and that's quite a bit in detail. Closely following their footsteps is also Australia. They're working on a similar set of guidelines. And we also have United States, the California, that has biofouling requirements. And also the upcoming VIDA, the Vessel Incident Discharge Act, has mentioned quite a bit about biofouling regulations. But shipping is a global industry, and if you are going to have unilateral requirements and quite different from each other, it's going to put extra burden on the shipping industry. So it would be, of course, good to have international regulations, but in the meantime, we're also working on improving the situation as in the in-water cleaning as it is now. So where we all started? Well, we started in 2018, and why did we start? Well, some of our members and ship owners, they came to us and said that the in-water cleaning scenario is getting increasingly difficult, and difficult in the sense that ports are restricting in-water cleaning in their waters. Some of them are prohibiting completely. And then ship owners are left with either running the ship as it is with the biofouling, which means that they have to pay for extra fuel, but also it adds to increased greenhouse gas emissions. The alternative to them is to get to the ship to a dry dock and have it out of the water and get it cleaned. It is not only cumbersome, but it is also expensive for a ship owner. And then, so this was the place we started. But when we look at why ports are actually restricting or prohibiting, it was down to the fact that there are a very different kind of cleaning that was going on. Some of them, of course, do a great job in not only cleaning the ship, but also ensuring that the environment is left as clean as it was. But it was not the case with all cleaners. There was a variety of cleaning, and as it is even today, we have cleaners who clean the ship, but then they do not capture what is clean. So of course, all these biofouling is left in the port, which sort of affects the local marine environment. So if I was a port authority, I would probably do the same to ensure that my port remains as clean as it was. So the answer to that was actually, well, we need to sort of raise the bar of in-water cleaning as a whole, so that there is not only a level playing field, but everybody who's cleaning does a good job in various aspects. And I'm going to talk about those aspects in a few minutes. So what we did, we gathered project partners. As you can see, we have some shipping companies. We talked to some port authorities. We got some cleaning companies in the group, and also AFS manufacturers. Apart from that, we had the International Classification Society, International Association of Classification Society, IACS, and we also have ICS in the group. And this project was led by BIMCO. 3 years of work into it, and we came up with those two documents that I mentioned. One is the industry in water cleaning standard, cleaning with capture, and the other one is the approval procedure for in-water cleaning companies. So this is where we are now. We have these two documents that have recently been launched, and as we speak now, we have just about started a small-scale implementation project. And what this is, that we have groups of cleaning companies, ship owners, and approval bodies, and they will test this standard in real life, and they will actually cleaning companies will actually go through the testing procedure, the approval procedure, to see if they can meet the requirements, but also we can learn from the real life, and in case needed, improve both the procedure and the standard. So I said there are a few specifications in what the standard will ensure, and this is what it is. We want the cleaning to be of a good quality, and it fulfills a set of specifications. We also want that the environmental impact of this cleaning process is controlled. The coating on the ship, that is not affected in any way, so it performs as it was required to perform, and of course the cleaning process is planned in a safe, effective, and a safe manner. The reason, and we put it in this way, is because these are all almost goal-based requirements. We do not want to specify any specific technology. So as long as you're doing a good cleaning, you're not impacting the environment, you're good to go. So, and of course, we mentioned that the coating performance is not impaired. We do not mention that you don't use any hard brushes, or you don't use any kind of those brushes. But of course, if you can ensure that the coating performance is not impaired, yes, you're free to use your procedure and your equipment. And the same thing goes in the last point, and that is about, we do not mention that you do not use any divers. As long as you ensure that the process is safe and effective, you're free to do so. And these are some of the basic steps that the stakeholders will follow as it is right now. And what a ship should do is they should implement the IMO's biofouling guidelines, of course, but the standard also mentions a few other requirements which the ship should implement, and they should do the day-to-day management. And we say day-to-day management, it's all there in the biofouling guidelines already, as in ensuring that the record book is kept up to date, ensuring that if the ship lays idle in a place, then that is recorded. You record the correct type of anti-fouling system that you're using in your plan, and things like that. More importantly, the cleaning company and the approval body and the port, they have a much more important role to play here. What the cleaning company will do is they should look into the standard and ensure that their processes and procedures adhere to the things that are mentioned in the standard. And they should also apply for a certification. And what that means is that certification or testing process has two aspects to it. One is the documentation, which the cleaning company will be audited on. And the second thing is that the cleaning company will actually be tested on how they actually do a cleaning, which in other words, there will be a live cleaning that will go on, and they will be tested. So the approval body will probably, they do it themselves, or they will hire an independent testing organization, and they will collect samples of this the equipment, the effluent, the influent of water, and they will do these tests to see if they meet the criteria. I will come back to the criteria in a short while. Once the approval is done, once the approval body gives the approval to the cleaning company, they are sort of ready to operate in any port, for that matter. It's not an approval for every port. It's any port. But it could be that an individual port has slightly different requirements or slightly higher requirements than what the standard mentions. So what the cleaning company will do is it will also go to the port and apply for what we have mentioned as a permit. And a permit is something that the port just looks at the certification and gives a permit. And if required, they will ask the cleaning company to do a few more tests, or maybe have an increased cleaning criteria, put that in their procedure, and then they will issue a permit. Now, this permit is particular to a port, and that means you need to get a permit for every port that a cleaning company operates, as against the approval, which is just one for all the ports. Once you have that, the cleaning company, as we mentioned in the daily routine, is they will simply do how they have been approved. They will follow the procedures and do the cleaning and maintain the records and such like. The port, again, they will issue the permit whenever a cleaning company requires to operate in their port. There's also something the AFS manufacturer does, and we believe this is already happening. There's nothing different, and this is basically submitting the information about the paint to the ship, recommended cleaning procedures if there are any, and of course, once the cleaning company goes through the cleaning, they can then comment on how the cleaning was done, whether that has affected the anti-fouling system or not. This slide is again something that happens in every cleaning. I'm not going to go through in detail, as it is there mentioned in the standard, and it also explains, there's an explanatory notes on this, but it covers what happens before cleaning, and that is the initial stage. And sometimes the initial stage goes as far as when a ship applies the AFS coating, and there's something the ship does, the AFS manufacturer does, the cleaning company, and the port, of course. And then there is this communication that flows between these stakeholders during planning an inspection and doing a cleaning. And then there are things that you have to do after cleaning, which is basically record keeping to ensure that that the next cleaning, whenever it is done, it can be done in the right way. And it is set up in a way that if a ship is not being able to clean in one go, you can, of course, clean, let's say, half of the ship, and then the cleaning company gives the record, and then the ship can either come back in the next time when it reaches the same port, or it can also continue the cleaning in a different port with a different cleaning company, and that's how it has been written, so it can easily be transferred between one to another company. This is the test event itself, and what we have mentioned here is what exactly the ship should do while doing this testing event, which is of course a cleaning event for a ship. It's no different than a cleaning event for the ship. The cleaning company, of course, has to go through different procedures in just getting tested and certified, and this is all mentioned in the standard, and we've mentioned where in the standard is mentioned. For example, the first one, participate in meeting to determine appropriate safety parameters, etc., is mentioned in chapter 8 of the standard, and it's those things that's mentioned for the cleaning company as well. Like I said, the approval body also have a role to play. They carry out the certification audit, and then they manage and lead the testing itself, or they can also hire an independent testing organization who can do the test on behalf of them, and then the approval body will then give the certification. And like I mentioned, the testing organization has a few things a few roles to play, mainly guided by the approval body. I mentioned performance criteria, and this is what it is. Again, there are 4 criteria that the standard mentions, but A, B, and C, as you see on the screen, are these mandatory criteria, and the first one is about removing the biofouling, and a cleaning company should at least remove 90% of the macro fouling that is visible to the human eye. If they're not able to remove 90%, at least 90%, then they will not be certified or approved according to this standard. The second one talks about the water quality itself, and that means what you capture. You have to separate the biofouling, of course. You have to separate 90% of that from the seawater influent, and the seawater that goes back to the sea, which we call as effluent water, that has to be as clean as no particulate matter more than 10 micron. At least 95% of that should be less than that. The criterion C is about the local water quality parameters, and this basically means that your cleaning unit is actually capturing all that is removing from the ship, and not sort of leaking either at the cleaning unit or somewhere in the process. So what it does, what the testing organization will do, is they will collect samples in the vicinity of the cleaning unit, and also at the effluent discharge point, to ensure that you're not elevating the local the levels of these biofouling to higher than what is there in the water. And then the last one, and this is not a mandatory, we have left it as optional, because this talks about the dissolved particles in the anti-fouling in the anti-fouling coating, mainly the copper and zinc, because there are some ports that are quite specific about this, and if a company can demonstrate that they can also do it, then they can get certified as well. But in order to keep the balance, as we believe that this is not as easy as we say it, and it is also an expensive process to ensure that the dissolved copper and zinc are taken out, we've kept this as optional at this point in time. Yep, and I mentioned again about the small scale implementation project, and what it does is we want to be ready for cleaning and testing in accordance with the industry standard, and we want to carry out a number of successful tests and actually approve cleaning companies. What we gain is a lot of positive attention, because remember, there is no biofouling regulation in place, and no one is actually forced to use this standard. But if people are doing it, they're doing much more than what is already there, and that actually gains positive attention to all those parties involved. And of course, we want to learn from the experience and improve it along the way. And then we try to see, well, we talked about a few stakeholders, we talked about they all benefit from it, but who really benefits, and what is the level of the benefit? So it's a very, very rough estimation of what we've done. There's no scientific theory behind this. It's simply a guess, I would say, of who benefits. The cleaning company, of course, they benefit. They also put in a cost to it, but I can say it's a high initial cost, because they have to pay for the audit, they have to pay for the testing and the certification process and everything. But they will get the benefits in the long term, because, like I mentioned, you only pay once for the approval itself, and then what you can actually do is when you open more branches in different ports, you don't have to go through the same costs, so you will gain the benefits in the longer term. For the ship owner, I'm sorry, it's not shipping owner, it's ship owner. The cost, of course, are high, because you're not you're paying a little more to this cleaning company, which has been approved to the standard when you compare with any other cleaning company. But then again, you almost benefit quite a bit during the voyage, because this is almost the guarantee of your cleaning. You get a good quality cleaning. You ensure that your AFS is not damaged in any way. So of course you end up paying lesser fuel bills during the whole voyage, and then of course in the future you benefit quite a bit as well. But apart from these two, who benefits even further, and that is the ports, because for the port, I would say it's a very low initial cost. It's all about checking the documentation and allowing a company to start its operations in the port, and sort of putting some safeguards to ensure that they're not operating outside their limits. But other than that, to them, there's no real cost really, and what it does is actually attracts ships to the ports, because remember I said that ship owners are feeling the difficulty of getting in-water cleaning, and if there is a port which actually has a cleaning company that is certified with a standard, that would attract more ships. So actually there's some economic benefits to this as well. But about all this, and if I were to mention one more stakeholder, and that is the environment, I don't mention particularly the marine environment. I mention the environment because it's both the water and the air, because of course there is no cost. There's only benefits. We ensure that the environment is as clean as it is, and when a ship is cleaned and it goes back into the voyage, the GHG emissions are also much lesser. So there's a lot of benefit to all the different stakeholders in this whole game. So with that, I will end my presentation and